Now while they were preparing, two Wintolga men, which is Mulga Seed men, actually came here and invited the Mala people to their own ceremony. Now because the Mala people had started their ceremony already, they did have to decline their invitation. Now the two men went back to their people and told them about this. Now they got pretty angry. There's a lot of angry people out here for some reason. But basically they started their own ceremony and basically conjured up an evil spirit. Now his name was Korpan, and he was a devil dog. Now he was also a mamu, which is a ghost, which meant that he could shapeshift. Now he actually started to make his way here to kill the Mala people. But as he did so, he basically disguised himself as things like bark, grasses, seeds, anything he could to get himself here unnoticed. Now the only person to actually notice Korpan was Lunpa, a kingfisher woman. Now she actually tried to warn the Mala people, but they didn't listen to her. So Korpan eventually got here and did kill some of the men. So you can actually still see them in the back of the cave today. Now once some of the men had been killed, the rest of the Mala people fled south, pretty much where that story continues. Now there's basically two lessons for that story. So one, listen to danger and warnings and take them seriously, but also make sure you finish what you start. So that's exactly why the men's spirits are still in the back of the cave today, because they didn't actually get to finish their ceremony. It was actually the grandparents who taught them as well, not the parents. So it just pretty much worked really well that way. So that was when the grandparents would teach them and the parents would pretty much just go out hunting. Now, I said that they did have pretty much like an oral culture, but they used like the rock paintings and things basically to get the messages across. So if you kind of think about this cave in here, basically like a classroom, and all those rock paintings are basically like the blackboard. So with these, like, has anyone thought about like the texture of the rock as well? Is it as smooth as anyone thought, or is it a bit different? Different?
Pretty smooth anyway,
yeah. Oh, it is, but yeah. Yeah, so it has like that flaky pattern, but how it actually gets that is actually from the different temperatures between summer and winter. So in winter, the frost actually gets behind that rock, behind those little cracks. It freezes and it expands, basically, breaking off that rock, pretty much making the flaky pattern. Now, has anyone wondered? Closed fairly recently, so only in October 2019, so only about 2 years ago. So that white line up there that you can see, we actually call that the Scar of Uluru. For obvious reasons, it's going to be there for a pretty long time. Now this part of the climb is the steepest, so this angle of the rock is actually on a 45-degree angle, so it's pretty steep. Now that bunch of rocks kind of just at the bottom here, the top of that is called Chicken Rock. Basically it got that nickname because basically anyone who went up there and chickened out basically did so at that point, so that's why it's got the nickname Chicken Rock. Now the chain that was up there did start just after Chicken Rock, and it was pretty like low to the ground. So the guy who installed it, Peter Severance, he was actually a fairly short man, and they wanted the chain to be waist height, so it was probably about my height roughly. So it was pretty low. So there was only one way in and one way down, basically, so one way up and one way down as well. So you can imagine the amount of people going up there using that one chain. You'd have to let go at some point to let people pass, basically. Now it wasn't flat on top, it was like a little bit hilly. There was actually a book up there as well that people signed when they got up there. But basically there's three different reasons why they closed the climb. So the first is safety. So since recording began, at least 43 people lost their life up there. But if you were injured as well, it wasn't very good because help came from all the way from Alice Springs. So you were waiting quite a while, a fair few hours for actual help. Now the second reason is environmental. Again, there were no toilets up the top, so there was a lot of pollution up there. People did use the bathroom, they'd leave toilet paper, plastic bottles, camera batteries, all that sort of stuff up there. So the amount of pollution coming off the top basically ruined all the waterholes around Uluru. Now the third reason basically is for cultural reasons. So not only is Uluru and Katajuda very sensitive to the Ananu people, but it was actually, like, the national park was World Heritage listed twice. So the first time in 1987 for its natural beauty, and then again in 94 for its cultural values. So it actually took roughly 10 years to actually close the climb from when they wanted it to close. So they basically needed less than 20% of people coming here to actually want to do the climb. So they basically needed the main reason people coming here was to actually learn about the culture instead of basically just conquering Uluru.